it's Sherri from A Quilting Life, and I'm here today to share the June block of the month. This is the 6th block in our series, which means we will be halfway done after you make the blocks from today. I'm super excited to share a few things about the block and a couple ideas I had while I was sewing. And before we get started with all of the details about this month's block, I want to mention a few things about the sponsor for today's video, BetterHelp. As quilters, we often remind each other that quilting is our therapy. There's just something incredibly soothing about the repetitive motion of stitching, the creative process of choosing fabrics and projects, and the sense of accomplishment that comes with completing a project. I know I've been so grateful to have my quilting therapy and community of quilters in my life, especially during challenging times. But over the course of the pandemic and even in recent months, I have received countless emails from quilters and viewers on our platform who are really struggling with personal and family issues. While quilting can provide a wonderful outlet and a supportive community, sometimes we need just a little bit of extra help to navigate life's challenges. That's where BetterHelp comes in. BetterHelp is the sponsor of today's video, and they are an online therapy platform that makes it easier and more convenient for you to get the support you need. With BetterHelp, you can connect with a licensed therapist from the comfort of your own home through video chats, phone calls, or even messaging. What I appreciate about BetterHelp is that they have a network of over 30,000 therapists, so you can find the right fit for your specific needs and preferences. If you don't feel like your therapist is the best match for you, you can easily switch to someone new at no additional cost. If you are struggling and think you could benefit from some extra support, I encourage you to check out BetterHelp. Go to betterhelp.com/aquiltinglife to get 10% off your first month of therapy. Taking care of your mental health is just as important as taking care of your physical health, and therapy can be a valuable tool in your self-care toolkit, right alongside your favorite quilting project. Now let's go ahead and get started and look at all of the details for our June block of the month. Okay, so let's talk about the June blocks. Absolutely love how this turned out. I have a few things to point out. Let's start with the smaller block. I actually used 2 different green prints here and 2 different teal prints here, but what I noticed after I put it together is that it doesn't make this little pinwheel stand out quite as much. Let me just show you what I mean. With this one, I had a pink and an orange in each block, and so I feel like the orange prints really that pinwheel just really stood out. So that might be something that you want to think about as you pick your fabrics and put your block together, is if you really want this to stand out, and I really think it's super cute this way. I probably would have done this one over, but I wasn't going to do it over. You know how that goes sometimes too. A lot of you have asked just also that you want to know the colorings for my smaller blocks, and I actually don't have the colorings on the smaller blocks on my computer. I'm just kind of winging it. Actually, the large blocks, I'm trying to follow what I shared when people started asking for the outer star points, but as far as for the small blocks, the outer star points, I'm just kind of doing it as I go. Just a quick recap, I've already done the orange, the darker green, red, teal, pink, and now aqua. So I think I've used almost all of the colors except maybe the citrine. Haven't used that yet. But then I'll probably just start rotating through the other colors. Okay, something else I wanted to show you about the big block, and you might be noticing this actually as you're looking at it, is that I used 2 different reds for these outer star points. When I made the flying geese, I used the large red floral on the left side, And then I used the red dot on the right side. And the reason I did this is because I ran out of the large red floral. This collection has just been so much fun for us to sew with, and I have made so many projects that even though I ordered a little bit for myself, I am running out of things very quickly. But I wanted this block to be red. I had told everyone it was going to be red, and so I just made do with what I had. Use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without. Well, I made it do. And then I actually really liked it, and I thought, why didn't I do that more often? But actually, I also have this thing, if I do something like this in a quilt, I usually do it again in another block. So somewhere in blocks 7 through 12, I will do my outer star points like this, just to kind of have a match. Okay, pressing next, so I'll just show you. I did try to flip those quarter square triangle seams to get those little squares. You can see this one didn't really flip. I must have been going too quickly, but these two I got really nice little 4 patches there. I pressed the seams open between the quarter square or hourglass units. I pressed this seam open, but then I pressed the center section toward the flying geese, and I pressed the middle row toward the top and the bottom row. So that's kind of how I did the pressing on this. Want to share just a couple of thoughts. We do have a video on quarter square triangles. There are a couple of different methods. You can cut your triangles into fourths, or your square into fourths, and sew 2 triangles together or 2 triangles together and then make your quarter square unit. Or the way that I almost always do it is I make the half square triangles and then I nest the seams so that those seams just kind of line right up with each other. I always do that, and then my quarter square triangle would end up like that, and then I trim it down. You can use whichever way you want. If you do this method, you are going to end up with some extra half square triangles because we don't need them all if you're using this method. But save them. There is a block later on in our sew along that I promise you will be able to use these. So you can go ahead and save them. And or if you don't want to waste the fabric now, you can just go ahead and cut 1 square of each print and cut it into fourths. You'll still have a little bit left over, but you won't have made it into the half square triangle. And then one more thing I just want to show, these are kind of my leftovers from my smaller block. One more thing I wanted to share is that when you go ahead and trim those, it's really helpful to have any ruler with a diagonal line. It's extremely helpful if you have the ruler that's the same size that you're trimming it to. So these were trimmed to 4.5 inches. And you can see basically the 1/4 inch seam allowance was all there, and I was able to get that diagonal line there. But I love to use a ruler like this and then trim 2 sides at a time, flip my block and trim it again. So these pieces are oversized, so you will need to trim. Don't leave out that step. And again, sometimes I feel like people think they're collecting too many rulers, but it is really helpful to have the right size. And so you would need a 4.5 inch ruler for this, and you would need a 2.5 inch ruler could be used to trim these. Again, you can use any size. It's just easier not to make a mistake if you have the correct size ruler. And I think that is about it for the June blocks. Really love how both of these turned out. They're both just cheerful and happy, and can't wait to see you next month when we make block 7. Okay, so that's everything for the June block of the month. So excited to be at the halfway point. I know you start really feeling a sense of accomplishment and just loving how the blocks are turning out. Thanks to all of you for sewing along and for sharing all of the blocks that you're making and all of the various fabric collections that we're seeing out there. Just keep those pictures coming. We do love them. If you enjoyed today's video, please share it with a friend, hit the like button, and and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much for stopping by.